So today I'm going to go over a couple teams that I have made for the Gym Challenge tournament. So before I get started, again, quick reminder to subscribe if you have not subscribed yet, and also click like on the video if you like this video. So before I get in my team here, again, I am a better doubles player than I am a singles player. That being said, I've had some success with these two teams that I've made so far. So one Pokemon that I've been really impressed with so far in testing teams is Jigglypuff. So it felt like when I was going through the different Pokemon that there were a lot of counters for Jigglypuff, but this thing is just so bulky, especially with the Sand Stream, which helps boost its special defense. So if you Dynamax this thing and take a super effective attack with the weakness policy on it, obviously that's going to double your attack, and then you should be able to knock out whatever it was that hit you with a super effective attack. So far, like I said, I've had a ton of success with this thing, and this is what I've been running on it: Rock Slide, Earthquake, Protect, and Iron Head. The reason for Iron Head is I can boost my defense even more, and there's some good fairy Pokemon, like the most obvious one is Mimikyu. Togekiss is really popular. People have been using Gardevoir, so Iron Head or Max Steel Spike has been really good. And then Earthquake obviously is a good move, but that also lets me boost my special defense. So I can boost both my defenses and hit with some really high powered attacks here. So this Pokemon has been really good so far. And the two that I use most often with Jigglypuff are Hitmontop and Lapras. So a lot of times what I go for is, I'll Dynamax Jigglypuff and I'll get a couple quick knockouts, and then Lapras can come in, and I've been running my Lapras with Perish Song, and I use Perish Song to finish the game. The Hitmontop has been really good because if my opponent brings out a physical attacker, I can send Hitmontop in to intimidate it, and it does some solid damage in return with close combat. I give it Bullet Punch just in case I need to get a little bit more extra damage, or at the end of the game, maybe it could finish off a game for me. And then Triple Axle is obviously a good move against, flying and grass types. So that trio has been really good for me, and I've won a lot of games with that trio. So going back to the Lapras here, this is a light clay Lapras, so in case I do Dynamax my Lapras, I want to get the most out of my screens as possible. So the light clay obviously lets me get 8 turns of screens instead of just the 5 turns of screens. And then I have Hydro Pump and Freeze Dry, and then as I said, I have Perish Song. So if you get the right matchup with Lapras, sometimes you get Dynamax or Gigantamax Lapras, get 2 knockouts with the Lapras and then Perish Song. You'd have to be getting the right matchup for that to happen, but it's possible. So I just went max hit points, max special attack, modest nature. So even though I have light clay on my Lapras, I still want my Lapras to do as much damage as it can if I am going for a Dynamax. So I still want my max special attack, but like I said, I've mainly been using this non-Dynamaxed alongside my Jigglypuff, and I've been using Perish Song very effectively with it so far. Another Pokemon who has been super impressive so far in testing is Nasty Plot Togekiss. And on mine here, I have Scope Lens Super Luck because I have weakness policy on Jigglypuff. But I've seen some people run weakness policy on it, and then they probably go Serene Grace. They might still go Super Luck, I'm not sure. But if you can get off a Nasty Plot, Dynamax, and then set off a weakness policy, obviously that's going to be super scary. For mine, I like the chance of getting critical hits, so that's why I like having the scope lens. And like I said, I already have weakness policy on Jigglypuff. But yeah, if you even get off one nasty plot with Togekiss and then start doing max Airstreams and max Starfalls, this thing can just do a ton of damage, and it's got really good bulk. So it's hard to take it out, and it does a ton of damage, and it has a way to boost speed with max Airstream. So Togekiss has been really good so far. So I really like those 4 Pokemon, and I didn't really know what other Pokemon to round out the team, but the ones that I decided on are Obstagoon and Chandelure. So I went with Obstagoon in case someone is trying to use an Intimidate Pokemon against me since they see Jigglypuff. So I have Defiant on Obstagoon, and then I went with an Assault Vest because with an Assault Vest, this thing is rather bulky. So if you lead it and someone leads an Intimidate Pokemon and activates Defiant, then you could Dynamax Obstagoon and do a ton of damage. And the nice thing, since it's normal, remember Max Strike lowers your opponent's speed, so it has a form of speed control itself by lowering your opponent's speed. So I felt like Obstagoon could be pretty good here. Like I said, if I'm expecting Intimidate from my opponent. And then lastly, I went with a Choice Scarf Chandelure. So I don't know if I love this, but so far, I guess it's done what I needed it to do. The reason I went Scarf on Chandelure is because it's not incredibly fast, but with the Choice Scarf, it outspeeds pretty much everything in this tournament because there aren't very many fast Pokemon in this tournament. And that still lets me go Modest Nature. And you can see Chandelure's special attack is incredible. It maxes out at 216 with a Modest Nature. So the idea is to catch people off guard with the Choice Scarf and just deal out a ton of damage. And it's done pretty well so far when I've used it. And I gave it Infiltrator because a lot of people have been using Substitute so far. So Infiltrator ignores Substitute and Light Screen and Reflect. So since it avoids all the screens and Substitute, I felt like, well, maybe if I lead like a Jigglypuff and my opponent sets up a Substitute, I can bring in Chandelure, and they're not going to be expecting a Scarf Infiltrator Chandelure to come in and do a ton of damage to them. So that was my thought process. I don't know if this is a super well-rounded team, but like I said, I've had a lot of success, and the main trio I go with is Jigglypuff, Lapras, Hitmontop. So let me know what you think of this team. If you think there's a Pokemon that I could substitute for one of these Pokemon, let me know because I'm really curious to see. Like I said, I'm better at doubles than I am at singles, but I have had success with this team. The other team I've had success with is this one. And again, this is kind of a goofy team, but I have won a handful of games with it. So I don't know. I've struggled building teams so far for this tournament. It's not super easy. But a Pokemon like Toxapex can just win you a game by itself. I've literally won games where all I use is Toxapex. So some people are using Toxic Spikes with Toxapex. I opted to go for Toxic because Toxic badly poisons your target. So that means that the amount of damage the poison does increases each turn. With Toxic Spikes, you can badly poison your opponent, but you have to get off Toxic Spikes twice in order for that to happen. If you only get off one set of Toxic Spikes, then the opponent is just going to be poisoned, so it's just going to do 1/16 of their health every time, which is still good. So I'm not completely sure right now which is better. The Toxic Spikes are awesome because you're guaranteed to poison your opponents as they enter the battle, unless they are, flying, have levitate, or are steel or poison. So there are some Pokemon who are immune to the Toxic Spikes, but I opted for Toxic, and I think it's been really good so far. And then I went for Scald, Baneful, Bunker, and Recover. So Scald is really nice to have because, it lets you do some chip damage and it also can pick up a burn. So if you're playing against like a Duraludon, I was able to burn a Duraludon and then just wait it out with Recover and Baneful Bunker, and I beat it that way. Where, I can't hit it with Toxic. So it gives me a way to hit a Steel Pokemon and possibly burn. And obviously that can be good against physical Pokemon as well. And obviously you can't burn and poison an opponent, but maybe, like I said, with a certain situation like with the Duraludon, maybe it's better to have the burn than it is to have the poison. So Baneful Bunker and Recover are just kind of obvious. Baneful Bunker is just a better version of Protect because if they make contact with you, they get poisoned. And then with Recover and Black Sludge, it's really hard to knock out Toxapex. So you can see I went for maxing out Toxapex's defense. Maybe it's better on second thought to even out the defenses, but I wanted to make this thing very physically bulky, so I mainly use it against physical attackers. But maybe if I made it more even, then it could be better against everything. But I don't know. So far, this Toxapex has done amazing in the trials I've done with it. Darmanitan is another Pokemon that is just awesome. Like, it has really good moves into most of the super common Pokemon. So with Earthquake, Icicle Crash, Iron Head, Superpower, those are the moves I would go with. And like I said, that's going to give you a lot of damage into like all of the main Pokemon that people are using the most right now. So with Gorilla Tactics and Choice Scarf, I know I talked about that in the tier list. Gorilla Tactics basically gives you a Choice Band, and then Choice Scarf boosts your speed by 1.5. So you're making yourself faster, stronger. It has a really high base attack. So if you do Adamant Nature, its attack is at 211, boosted by 1.5 with a Choice Scarf. This thing is super scary and does a ton of damage. The problem is it's really easy to knock out and return, but this is something that can one-shot a lot of Pokemon. And even in certain situations, it might just be worth it enough if you're facing against a certain Pokemon to just deal, you know, 80% damage to it. Yeah, you get knocked out in return, but now whoever you bring in the back is going to be able to deal with that Pokemon better. So Darmanitan is another one that has just been really impressive so far, and it's really good with the Scarf and Gorilla Tactics. So Mimikyu has obviously been really good so far. Like I said in the video, Disguise is just so good. You're able to set up a free Swords Dance, and then I have Life Orb on it to help do even more damage, and then I just went Shadow Claw, Play Rough. So it's another Pokemon who you can just set up really easily and then do a lot of damage. I went Max Speed, Max Attack, because again, like I talked about in the Speed tier list, there aren't a lot of really fast Pokemon, so a lot of times Mimikyu will be faster than your opponent. So it's important, since you're going to be Swords Dancing anyways with this thing, it's important to be as fast as possible so that you can go first and deal a lot of damage with Mimikyu. I don't know if Will-O-Wisp is the right choice for the last move here. I just felt like that makes my Mimikyu a little more versatile, so I don't have to use it just as a Swords Dance attacker. I can also bring it out against physical attackers and burn them. I don't know if that's really necessary with this Mimikyu, especially on this team, but I didn't know what else to give it. Maybe I could do something different like Wood Hammer on Mimikyu. I know that's a popular one, so maybe that would be a better move there. Next Pokemon, Halucha. I just gave this thing the Expert Belt because I'm only planning to use it in specific situations anyways. So the Expert Belt, if you don't know, boosts super effective attacks by 1.2 times. So it only comes into effect if you're super effective to your opponent. But like I said, I'm only planning to use Halucha in certain situations where it's going to be doing super effective damage. So that's why I just went with the Expert Belt here. So I talked about how giving it Mold Breaker allows it to one-shot an opposing Mimikyu with Max Steel Spike. So Halucha is an interesting Pokemon. It doesn't have a great physical attack, but since it's a fighting type, if you Dynamax it, you're able to boost your attack with Max Knuckles, you're able to boost your speed with Max Tailwind, and you're able to boost your defense with Max Steel Spike. So it's a decent Dynamax Pokemon in the right situation. It's not one that you're going to be using a lot, but it could be a helpful Pokemon on your team for certain matchups. I added Serena to this team because I wanted a grass Pokemon. And like I talked about in the tier list, I think Serena's good. I gave it an Assault Vest, which helps make it really bulky, and then Queenly Majesty to block priority moves. And then I just went Power Whip, Play Rough, Triple Axle, and I went Bounce so that I'd have access to Max Airstream so that I could use Serena as a Dynamax Pokemon. Like I said, giving it the Assault Vest makes it a lot more bulky. So I could Dynamax my Serena. I can boost my speed with Max Airstream and then start dealing out a lot of damage with my other attacks here. This also gives Serena a lot of coverage. So with this moveset here, you're able to do super effective damage into a lot of different Pokemon. So yeah, with the Assault Vest, it could be really bulky. It could be a good Dynamax option. So similar to Halucha, I don't use Serena a ton, but again, situationally, against certain teams, Serena could be really good. And then I already talked about Togekiss. This is the same Togekiss build that I had on the other one. I don't think I talked about the EVs on the other one. I just wanted to give it some speed so that if I go for a max airstream, now it's going to be able to outspeed just about anything with one max airstream. But I didn't want to just go max speed because I also wanted to give it some hit points because Togekiss is really bulky and I wanted to make my Togekiss bulky but still able to outspeed stuff with a max airstream. So that's it for the two teams that I have right now. Again, in the comments, let me know what you guys think. If you have ways to improve these teams, let me know. I know there's ways to make these teams better, so they're still kind of a work in progress, but let me know what you guys think. I hope this is helpful. I hope you guys enjoy this, and remember to click like if you like the video, and I will see you guys for the next one.